All right, all right, all right. We are live. We are live. We are live, folks. It is the Truth Be Told show with my brothers from other mothers. I got brother Uncle Me, Sean. How you doing there, family?
Man, what's it? Good to be here. You got flavor today, huh? Okay, all right.
All right, all right, all right. Brother Leonard Walker. Brother Leonard Walker. How you doing there, family?
It's all good. It's all good.
All right, all right, all right. Crowd is cheering for you. And it's also yours truly, Mr. Just As Joe, folks. And this is the Truth Be Told show. All right, so we're going to get it in. We're going to have a great show for you today. And I tell you what, let's go. Let's go ahead and rock this thing on out.
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first, honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn as we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
All right, all right, all right. Man, it is the Truth Be Told show. Folks, what is going on? It is another week. It's Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. So I tell you what, guess what? This is the only Tuesday, September 13th, 2022 that you will ever get. So remember, folks, make today a great day. All right. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's definitely an awesome Tuesday with all the news and all the stuff that's going on and everything. I'm glad to be here. I'll have the opportunity to do another show with y'all fellas, bro.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you as well, brother Leonard Walker. Uncle Me, Sean. Appreciate the other fellas that are not here. We got Marcus Ray and Peter Hayes there. So they'll be in if they can.
So
it's all good.
I guess I need to just go ahead. What's this new this image you trying to give us and everything? You put all our pictures up there and everything, with this little. What's up with that, man? I think that was kind of dope. Kind of dope. Kind of caught me off guard.
Hey, man, we don't stop improving. We continue to improve. The improvements keep going.
That's industry standard right there. Constant improvement.
Absolutely.
Standard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There you go. Leave it to Leonard to go ahead and bring us all the lingo that the proper lingo that we need to have. I tell you what, that's good stuff. So, as we talk about this week, current events, of course, we've got two big things that happened. Today is September the 13th. So we have the Queen, who long live the Queen, and she's gone. All right. She has died after 96 years on this earth. So we got that going on. And then we got 9/11, that the anniversary that just passed. And I tell you what, folks, it is it's been an interesting week when you compile all those things together. So we're gonna get into some of that. We're gonna talk about a lot of that. And hopefully we'll get to have a good conversation about that. There's one other thing that I kind of wanted to get into as well. It's kind of interesting when you really think about it. But there's stuff going on with the banks. The Federal Reserve is they're rolling out an instant payment system, and that's something interesting as well to think about, because what that means, and I've been looking at this from different financial analysts and such as well. But what that means is we about to go through Big Brother having a bigger eye on us, and that's I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I'm not really interested in that.
He's saying the Federal Reserve System is getting ready to roll out a payment system like a stipend.
Well, no, payment system like instead of Cash App, you'll be able to skip the banks, the Cash Apps, and all that stuff. They're trying to cut out the middleman and create a situation to where they are told. So what this makes you think of is what China has going on right now. Yeah. China has a situation to where you mess up, well, guess what? They can cut your money off and make it to where you can't go nowhere. There's more of a credit character system in play there. You mess up credit wise, well, you messed up in life, because ain't much redeeming yourself. I guess you can redeem yourself, but if you looking bad on a credit score, then your kids might not be able to go to the right schools, or anything. They it's just too much control as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And as a chess move, this makes cryptocurrency even more important, where you're operating outside of a centralized banking system. So yeah, that's something to watch out for.
Absolutely. So
if
this week,
go
ahead.
Before you go on, man, if I'm hearing you correctly, okay, I'm maybe slower than most, okay, but I'm just trying to find out. That sounds like some serious. That sounds like something very evil or something. So like somebody's trying to make sure that if you fall off the grid, there's no way you can fall off the grid. If I got control and everything, your finances and everything going on, that's dangerous. That's wow. Really?
Absolutely. Think about it. And the reason why there hasn't been much pushback, well, look at all the distractions we've had. We've dealt with the C virus and somebody's lives matter and police brutality, and stuff getting thrown at us left and right and right and left. And here we are in a situation to where, behind closed doors, not even behind closed doors, in our face without us looking, because one thing that America is the greatest illusionist in the world. Look over here while I'm doing something over here. I tell you what, that's what they've been doing, changing laws, making things happen. I've been looking at a new, there's a new law that Biden just signed into play that basically is fast tracking a digital currency for the central banks and everything as well. So they're fast tracking it because in the initial stages of cryptocurrency coming out and whatnot, the idea was, I'm not sure about it. I don't know. And now they realize they're behind the 8 ball. So they're fast tracking it and pushing this thing forward. So now that, you talk about the dollar going digital, more than it already is. Right now everything's pretty much digital, but you talk about a situation to where they're trying to eliminate cash from off the street. So now hand to hand, I can't come to you and say, Leonard, I'd like to buy that thing that I need from you with these this paper money. It just won't have any value. Because it won't exist.
Yeah, because they want to track every dollar. They want to track every dollar. When you put
they want to track everything.
You take the physical dollar off the off what they call scale and everything be tracked through the digital. That means every dollar is being tracked. Everybody knows what you're doing with your dollar. It's scary. Hey, listen up. Even in the meeting Marcus and I was in yesterday, Marcus dropped something to me and Judd that we didn't even know. He said he'd been to a meeting. He said Marcus said he was at a meeting, Leonard, at the state level and everything because of his involvement with the NAACP. He said that a law was being dropped in the school system that the schools is trying to get their own private police. Did you hear about that, Joe? That here in the state of Kentucky, he said, wait a minute, it was just like dropped under there, and I thought it was kind of. Here's Marcus right here. I thought it was kind of interesting because I never even heard of it. Okay.
Well, go ahead, Marcus. Elaborate on that, Marcus.
What they did is they brought into the committee a bill to introduce where every school district could have its own police department. That doesn't mean every school district will,
right? But
they have the option of forming their own police department if they so choose.
Yeah, colleges do that already. Yeah, colleges already do that. They already have campus police, so that's something that I guess with the active shooter situation and that sort of thing that people are kind of looking at as justification for policing our children in the public.
But Marcus, when did they have that conversation in the open? When did that come across the table? That we the citizens had an opportunity to have a conversation about it.
Well, it was up for a committee hearing at the same time that all the conversations were going on about CRT, and so it happened in the education subcommittee. So it wasn't broadcast like that. It was the last item on the list. I just happened to still be sitting in the room when the item came up. It's the only way I knew about
it. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, again, whenever there is something going on, I'm prone to look around and see what else might be going on. That's what I've learned. That's what these last 2 years have taught me is when there's something big going on in the news, go look around and dig up and just type in different things, what's going on in your city, the name of your city or whatever. And check and see what else is going on, because usually there's something happening behind closed doors.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, the thing with that is that it's not about school security because there are already resource officers in the school. What this will do is it will give the school district the ability to open the prison to school pipeline however they see fit. See, right now it was really up to the chief of police and however they decided to proceed, because most of those things were always or should have been kicked back to the school as an administrative matter. But now what they've done is they've allowed the school district to introduce people directly into the pipeline.
Right.
Whoa.
Or to turn the schools directly into the pipeline. There's, into a prison system, already setting you up, wearing uniforms. There's schools here where children either have to put their hands in their pockets or behind their back so that they keep their hands to themselves in elementary school. So you got these types of tactics, and you add police to it. So now you really locker searches. That's pretty much prison.
That's what's coming next, right?
Yeah. So yeah. We have to really be vigilant when it comes to that kind of stuff, or else next thing you know, our kids will be conditioned to be going to jail like they already are. So,
John Yaw conversation when he says, we who are in our 60s this, we have a history that we have something to refer to that we kind of already seen this coming. Leonard, you old enough to be to recognize this ain't nothing new. This is something been happening in other countries and everything. It just haven't happened on our soil. A lot of the young people don't know any. It's all kind of new to them. But John Yaw is right. we who are in our 60s and everything, and it just happened to still be old enough to pay attention. This ain't nothing new. This is some old stuff just trying to be rewired and recycled and re-given to us and everything, to now people who ain't paying attention. So we have more people, more young people who don't pay attention. They just love their government. They think the government got their best interests in hand. And I'm telling you, man,
that's the conversation right there. That's the conversation. What you just said, Michon, is the whole thing about people. We just trust. There's a lot of people out here that just trust that the government has the best interest at heart. We all know that the Constitution, says that paying taxes is voluntary, but we all pay it. Why? Because enforcement is a mother, right? So, that right there tells me that this government doesn't have my best interest at heart, right? Because it forced me to do something that is unconstitutional. So, there's little things like that people know about and they're okay with, and still sit back and say, I trust my government so much. No, folks, I mean, that video that Martin Smith put in our text thread about the shadow government, that's powerful. And there is, you hear so many things like that through the years, it can't be false. There's got to be some truth to it. And it makes sense. 60 families that actually run this country. Why? Because this is not, every other country has emperors and kings and monarchs and all this stuff. We have corporation
CEOs.
Titles,
CEO.
We have presidents and vice presidents and secretaries and secretary of states and all this stuff. They reworded some things. All the managers and supervisors are state governors and mayors and all that stuff, and everything is operated like a business. We understand that our social securities, or the number of people in this country, is held as collateral in order to borrow money and such like that. Dude, this is nothing but a business. And here we are. People are still to this day continuing to just fall in line with their government, believing in any and everything. And it's kind of sad. But nonetheless, speaking of monarchs, the Queen, right? What's up with that? Queen died, 96 years. Is it what happens next? Anybody know how does that work?
You know what happens next? The same thing that happened before, right? Is nothing has happened in order to change a system of monarchy. So, Joe, you mentioned an interesting point of, the United States being a business or corporation. Most businesses and corporations have boards of directors that are not part of that business or corporation. They are the ones that actually call the shots and tell and say, what goes where. So when we think about a monarchy, in England, and we think about what King George did in 1606, opening up America for business, right? Nothing has ever changed. Nothing. A lot of people, Revolutionary War. Listen, that's a false historical narrative, because plain and simple, America was the crowning crown of the British Empire at the time. So there was no way, that the Brits were going to let America just go, right? So a deal was struck that we just don't know about. A deal was struck that we don't know about. You got the IRS. We're paying taxes. It's taxes like Joe said, taxes are voluntary. Then why is there such great enforcement? Because we have to pay somebody. Somebody is getting dividends off of the business that happens here in America, and that is the British monarchy. There's all types of videos and conspiracies and different things. A lot of people say, "Oh no, there's no way." That's because you have a lot of people just last year, as you were saying. Why do people? Because we see our government as a savior instead of a servant. Okay, they're supposed to serve us and not try to save us. If you look in the government, oh my God, save me. You put a lot of trust in
It's a lot of trust.
in somebody saving you, a lot of faith in somebody saving you, rather than forcing the government to serve you. But see, that's the thing: is the government does not serve us; it serves the actual board of directors. And where's that board of directors at? So the Queen passing away, the Queen passing away, like I said, is from a human standpoint, people are looking at, she lived 96 years, charmed life, this, that, and other. But really, the system that the Queen, the monarchy and the system that the Queen upheld, nothing is going to change. That's going to be just passed on to the next person and the next person and the next person. When King Charles passes away, it'll go to the next successor in line, and it'll keep going until the people get tired of monarchy, like they did in Russia, or in France. So.
So when you say that and you talk about the board of directors, it makes me, think about Washington, D.C. And the fact that it's not a state.
Nope.
I mean, we count it in the number of states in the United States of America. The United States of America being the corporation that was incorporated because we were originally America. And then, we were originally the colonies, and then, America, the colonies. And then it was once we incorporated in, what was that? Was it 1865, 1871? What year was that? 1871.
1871.
Exactly. And that's when we became the United States of America. All right. So that's when the Queen's rule came. I'm sorry, I'm looking at stuff, but that's when we became a corporation. They took all the money that they earned off the backs of slaves. There's free money. They did it by any means necessary to become a superpower in the world and incorporate, so that they can put this plan of action for this business idea that they had of this business of controlling people, that they somehow had some foresight in how it would go. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, Leonard, I want to ask you, while Joe talking about that, that darn Joseph in Paducah, dropped some information on me, man. And I heard of it before. I've never got the opportunity to ask you, Leonard. He said something that the conversation that we've been talking about, the inheritance, is actually, he said, Michon, it's interesting that terminology is right on point. He said, because there is, if you go back to your great parents, there are numbers on their Social Security card that ties right into the Treasury. Okay. And if you find their number and everything, you will know where you tie in right into the Treasury, which is a bond or something, or like like an investment. Us know about investment. I understand it. It's like it's allocated money. It's like how in the government, the government allows certain amount of money to be paid out. You got to spend all that money. You don't get the same money back every year. So there's, like he's saying, if you were to follow that number, you will recognize that there is an inheritance or a way they can track that. You know what I'm talking about, Leonard? That he says the numbers on the earliest Social Security cards at the bottom of it, okay, where that ties right into the treasurer, that ties into money that was used to go overseas and everything, was allocated for America to operate off of. Do you know what I'm talking about? Leonard?
I think the Social Security Administration started in 1932? If somebody looks it up, 1932 is when it started. And if we're talking about the U.S. Treasury, obviously that's what who prints our money. But talking about debt, okay, talking about bonds, okay, and that's what when the word bond is a debt, okay. So if we're tying our Social Security numbers to debt, right, meaning that we are not so much owed, but we are bonded, right?
Yeah.
We are bonded, so now you're talking about the straw man type situation where, you have you, the human being, the individual, and then you, the character that operates in this structure, and you'll continue, and like I said, as long as the banks control the printing of money, you'll always be in debt. So you'll always be a bond, right? So I could see something like that. I have to do more research on something like that, and that's something we have to look at, but I could see a little bit of something like that happening.
Absolutely.
So that ties
you got to go into the third.
Ties into the.
You got to go into the third, fourth, and fifth pages of Google
right.
to research that. You can't just stay on the first page to try to research that one there. I tell you that. That is for sure. But look, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back here with the Truth Be Told show, folks. Again, it is, like I said, the Truth Be Told.
Hey folks, check out healthdaddywow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, healthdaddywow.net. Remember, healthdaddywow.net.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness. Every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap, sticks, and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
I don't need to sit at your table. We building one. We in the process of building a table. We building a table. I don't gotta sit at your table. I'm building my own table, and I will build you a table in the presence of your enemies.
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
Folks, we are back. It is, again, the Truth Be Told show. It's yours truly, Mr. Just Ask Joe. I've got Leonard Walker, Uncle Mishorn, the one and only, and Marcus D. Ray here with us on the Truth Be Told show today. All right, so all right, folks, just calm down, settle down. All right, man, I tell you, boy, they love it. So we've got this conversation that we want to jump into 9/11. Of course, the Queen, the Queen is dead. And I don't think that if you walk outside here and ask any ADOS, any melanated member of the community, what does the queen mean to you? I honestly believe that the answer would be not a god darn thing is what the answer would predominantly be. That's my thoughts. So that conversation is what it is.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I cannot find and let me preface this by saying that I feel good about myself, that I'm able to say that I've overcome the color construct of blaming, Mr. Charlie or, angry at the white man and all this, that I can actually say a good thing about the queen and say, hey, wish her well, may God be with her and everything, and don't have to sit around and be dogmatic about being angry. I'm glad I'm at a space in my life that I can do that. But there's some folks who ain't there. Okay, there's some people who are, not feeling it. And maybe even for good reasons. When you think about Jamaica, you talk about some of these other countries that came under the control of the queen and everything, what's going on, and the queen and Britain ain't been good to us. Historically, they have not always been good to us. But I'm at a place that I have a sense of forgiveness, okay, and I can move on and everything. I ain't took my eyes off of it, but I'm not gonna dog. You see where I'm going with that?
Well,
there is some people.
I mean, think about it, Michon. No, I mean, when if anyone is stuck in a color construct, which I get, people got to be born out of that in a sense. Light bulbs got to go off and things of that nature. Experiences, but nonetheless, if people are stuck in that, well, the only colors they see is red, white, and blue. So
right.
And they're not looking at the American flag when it comes to that. They're not stepping over to look at Great Britain's flag or anything having to do with the UK, anything having to do with England. They're not looking over there. They're looking here. I know as a Jamaican descendant that I understand the British rule over Jamaica and stuff like that. So I do get why I see in different places there's tributes and things going on to the Queen having to do with Jamaican culture, because patois is nothing but broken English with a British accent. So when I say I feel carried that, so I hear that. You know what I mean? So that's all that is. That comes straight from that British rule. But with that in mind, that's a null and void kind of conversation, just because it ain't gonna take us too far as people that look like us here in this country. Now, you talk about this 9/11. This was one of this generation's first time seeing where all Americans seem to be all American. When you really get into this, and the news outlets kind of played into that, where you saw people with ash on their face. You couldn't tell whether they were black or white. The only way you could probably tell is if you went and played music, and if it was rock and roll, certain people start dancing, then oh, those are the white people right there. You play something with a hard drum beat, then oh, those are the brothers and sisters right there. That African ancestry. But it's about the only way. It's funny. My goal is to always make Leonard laugh, chuckle or something. Because he keeps such a straight face, man. I'm sitting here looking at him, I'm like, he is not laughing. But nonetheless, when you get into this, reflections on 9/11. What do y'all think? I got about 3 minutes worth of some video that I can play if y'all want to look at it, and then we can talk about where we were when it's happening. How y'all feel about that?
Sounds good.
Let's go into the video.
Okay. All right, cool. So
play the
let's
video.
go ahead and do that, folks. We'll kind of get into this. And this is ABC News or Good Morning America on ABC, and this is kind of original footage from way back when. All right, so peep this. Check this out.
A special report from ABC News, and we are dealing, and we have to underline this, we are dealing purely in the realm of speculation here as to what may have happened at the World Trade Center. Obviously, a major incident occurred here on the upper floors of one of the World Trade Center towers. You can see multiple openings and flames coming out of at least two sides of the tower at the World Trade Center. And
we just got a report that the Associated Press is now reporting that it was an aircraft. So that's one more witness weighing in, or at least one more source weighing in on the fact that it was an aircraft of some kind.
And as Don Dahler reported, this occurred about 15 or 20 minutes ago in downtown New York. In New York time, that would have been about 20 minutes or 8:45. This is a time when literally tens of thousands of people are coming to work at the World Trade Center.
Looking at the top of the building, you mentioned there's an observation center, and I don't know what time it opens, but I think it opens fairly early, and people are up there at all hours of the day. Families, tourists coming in to look at the city of New York from the top. But also there, I don't know if this is the building that has the restaurant on top of it as well, but in those high floors, there are places where tourists team in the morning, even if the regular workers weren't in. And we remind you again that there was a terrorist bomb that did go off at the World Trade Center years ago. It was down in the garage level, but we have no
obviously
reason,
no indication that this could have been related to that. Right. Don Dahler, ABC's Don Dahler, who is on the scene. Don, just give me some description again of what you can see now.
What we're seeing, it appears that there is more and more fire and smoke enveloping the very top of the building. And as fire crews are descending on this area, it does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway in downtown New York.
We will see that scene again just to make sure we saw what we thought.
We're going to give you a replay of what we just saw, and I must admit I thought it was some sort of fire equipment coming in or some sort of observation plane, but it was obviously designed to attack the World Trade Center. We're going to show you that. Here's a replay of the videotape. In a second, that looks like a good-sized plane came in and hit the World Trade Center from the other side. So this is obviously, or would seem to be, and again, I'm dealing in speculation, but it would seem like there is a concerted attack against one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
You know,
yeah,
it's quite interesting. And when I look at this, it makes me think about Loose Change, the movie. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. It was a documentary, but in that they talked about how the media sort of seemingly knew a little more about what they were talking about. And when he first talked about this being a concerted attack on the World Trade Center, I don't know that if I'm sitting there talking news that I would have heard that. I mean, or I would have made that, relation. I don't know, but that's just me, saying that. I'm not sure if I would have made that correlation there. But
well, I think the second plane is what. Prior to that, they hadn't made any real conclusions. But when he saw the second plane or second object fly into what was a plane into the building, he didn't make it till after that. But you got to remember that they mentioned the attempt on the World Trade Center before in the basement and some different things. So they kind of put it out there that it could be something like that based off of prior attempts.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that this wasn't the first attack of course of American people on American soil like this, right? Who can give us some ideas of other attacks on American people?
You're talking about in Hawaii. I mean, this is the closest in the. If I can remember, this is Hawaii, but this is the closest on the mainland, right? I mean, that was the first time ever. That was the first time on mainland. Hawaii is outskirts, okay, which is American, territory. But as far as I know, am I wrong? That was the first time historically that we experienced such an aggressive an attack
going
on.
Where do we place the Tulsa massacre then?
Well, of course, the Tulsa massacre, it wasn't even in history books. You know what I'm saying? So we talking about something that's in our dark past that we don't even like to talk about, let alone acknowledge that it was a terrorist attack. That was just the law of the land at the time. It wasn't a terrorist attack. It was just law of the land.
Right.
I mean, it was all illegal nonetheless, and it's so undocumented that we've got anywhere between 30 and 300 people that died in the Tulsa massacre or race riots. That was another attack, terroristic attack.
Those things are not even recorded. Yeah, that's a history untold.
So we don't, and even Oklahoma City and all those things, they have been reluctant to label them as terrorists. Right? They're extremists. They're a whole lot of things, but they're not terrorists, or at least they haven't been labeled as terrorists. And so there's a reluctance to put that label on anybody with European descent.
Right. Because you not only had Tulsa, you also had East St. Louis, you had Wilmington, you had all different types of cities. Chicago. There were things that happened. Actually, there were some riots, and that's what they were called them, is riots. Okay. A riot, ensued, and hundreds of people of African descent got killed. Businesses were destroyed. Not only were businesses destroyed, but they, had the inability to rebuild because laws were passed that, made it almost impossible. So that was an act of terror and aggression as well, but when we talk about this one in particular, like I said, you have a lot of conspiracies around it. For me personally, when I saw that, even when I saw it, again now, kind of brought chills because is one of the things that I started immediately thinking about before I even realized what was going on, is the loss of life. All right, and I actually shed tears, at the idea that, you had so many people, just innocent, non-combatant people, going to work that day that lost their lives, and children and families and, different people. That was going to be their last day. So that right there is the thing that gripped me the most, is in that situation, is the sadness of all of these people that have just lost their lives over what may have seemed like an accident, but now it's, now obviously it's a point of aggression. So yeah,
absolutely.
Joe, that putting that definition up of a terrorist, I find it quite interesting whenever I'm in the company of the dominant European culture and we ever talking about certain things. And it's interesting how it's four of us who are all descendants of American slaves, or we talk about that. When you're in the company of the European and they talk about this, do you know that the very thing, the Tulsa, the Black Wall Street, they do not associate that as the same? But if you read that terminology right there, it is. Do that make sense to y'all? You know, y'all follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, yeah, we
you
absolutely know and
every
understand
time
that
you
that
talk
is.
to
Yeah, no, go
right,
ahead.
you
That
know,
is something that
no,
they just.
and this is what I be trying to get my European male friends when we be talking. When they talk about terrorists or what's that, oh, look what they done to America. Look what they doing across up. And when I say to them, listen, we've been experiencing that on our territory as descendants of American slaves way before we were attacked by other people outside of America and everything. But they don't see it that way. And this is interesting that how the dynamics. This is why I was telling someone, don't call me a Christian, okay, by the same people who made slaves Christians, but you didn't free them enough to let them experience the same freedom. But you want to call me a Christian, okay? That's some BS, okay? There's something twisted about that. So, you know, I like that terminology is put up there because all of us can understand that we have been attacked on America, and we can say terroristic. It was terroristic because Black Wall Street, those people woke up in the morning trying to go to work. Okay, they was trying to live a life, trying to do what they were trying to do. They never thought that they on American soil that they would be bombed by people that supposedly were Americans like them. Does that make sense? But we don't see their humanity like that. We don't consider that they felt our demographics felt terroristically attacked by our own citizens in our own country.
Well, and I know we hate to get off on the other topics, but the simple fact is that from 1865, when the Louisiana congressional delegation said that this country was founded for the sole benefit of white folks, and every law that they ever put in place was based on that. And so while that was wrong, there was nothing preventing it in the law because none of those laws existed at that time. They just didn't.
Well, I guess when you know, as you put it like that.
Well, I mean, just in general, if you take a look at it, if you take a look at it in what Ms. Shorn is talking about, you know, as times change and people change and people grow and ideas through education and learning, some of those attitudes and some people are gone. They're not gone from everybody, but you got to keep working at it so that becomes the exception instead of the rule. And that's kind of what, as we move to that becoming the exception, not the rule, over the past 50 years, our last 12 is that it's no longer the exception, it's becoming the rule.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting as you speak on that because again, you know, you think about trauma in this day and age. We're just now getting to the idea of the trauma of different things, and you go look it up. There's a lot of articles about you know, even the trauma of this event on people, but then more specifically the trauma and how it affected you know, people in the melanated community. You know, it's just kind of interesting when you start looking at some of that. One of y'all's dogs want to speak up?
Not I. Now, I would tell you this. I was sitting in my office on September 11, 2001, watching TV, right? When I saw the second plane fly into the building. I was in the process of transferring out of the unit. I was the S2, which is the intelligence officer, and I was going to teach at the military academy. My battalion commander called me on the phone and said, "Are you watching the news? We're going to Afghanistan probably in 60 days, and you will not be transferring to another unit." Right? And so, you know, everybody remembers what they were doing on that day. But I thought that I'm outside of that. I'm gone. I'm transferring out. But the point is that things change and people do what they get ready when it suits them. And what America did that day was, the first thing I thought is George Bush is no longer he is now undisputed president of the United States of America. Two things happened on that day for me, or three things. One, I didn't transfer out of the military police to the academy. George Bush became the undisputed president of the United States, and we stopped using the term twin towers in basketball. Those are three things that happened that I recall distinctly on September 1st, 2001, or September 11th, 2001.
Yeah, I mean they definitely took Twin Towers and the World Trade Center. You know, when that happened, they took a lot of this stuff out of even music. They took that stuff out, and you know, it's interesting when you say that. But yeah, man, this I know personally. I was an engineer for Bell South at the time, and this was 2001. I remember it distinctively because I had just got married in October of 2001. And, you know, we went on honeymoon, came back, and it was, I guess, the end of October, something like that. Because it was probably about 2 weeks later that this thing happened. Or no, I take that back. About a month later that this thing happened. And, you know, I was an engineer. I was working in a warehouse for a business owner, working with them, testing phone lines and all this type of stuff. And it was a Middle Eastern guy. And, you know, no issues or concerns. You know, most of us melanated, we don't have those issues or concerns, right? We don't think about all of that, because as far as we're pretty much concerned, they're just like us, you know, and in a way they get viewed just like us. Nonetheless, I'm working. This guy says, "Hey, sir, come over here and sit down. Look at the TV." And I go and sit right beside him on this office bench, and we're looking at his little small TV. Boom, it's right there. Everything happening. First plane, and then together we sat there and watched the second plane. And in all, I think about that just because of the dynamic of the fact that this was a Middle Eastern gentleman that I'm sitting next to. And then everything got pointed to some Middle Easterns, you know, after that. And, you know, but it, you know, that's where I was when it happened. And then it was a matter of, you know, getting on the phone and calling family and all that type of stuff, you know, after the fact. But, you know, who else? Leonard, you remember where you were at during that time?
Yeah, I was working nights, and I got off of work, and you know, I was getting ready to lay down and go to bed, and that's when I looked up, you know, from my bed, and I was looking at the news and saw all of this stuff happening, and next thing you know, you see the planes crashing, and like I said, I just was, you know, had to take a moment there to shed some tears, because I had it was another tragedy that I witnessed in my life. I had the unfortunate fortune, I'm gonna call it the unfortunate fortune, of being involved in the Hurricane Andrew relief. So I've seen what, you know, devastation can happen just with natural causes. And so this is one an unnatural cause where you had, you know, thousands of people, you know, just in my soul, I just felt, you know, people crying out, right? You know, in a spiritual type situation. So, like I said, it was a familiar feeling of dread when I saw that happening. So, you know, I think I went out and gathered myself and went out and was talking to people, different people. But yeah, that's the most memorable thing I take away from that. Is the same reaction when I saw Hurricane Katrina. You know, You know, it's when you experience, you know, tragedy, it kind of stays with you. And anything that happens in tragic situations, you still get to, unfortunately, feel those same emotions, those same feelings, especially when it's human life lost, you know, in those types of situations. So that's what I was at.
Man, interesting stuff. Leonard, I know you got to drop right now, brother, and we always appreciate your presence as you chime in and rock with us here on the Truth Be Told show, brother. We absolutely appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Next week.
All right, man. Peace.
Right. Yeah, take care, bro.
As he exits out of there. Let's see. Anybody else? Did both of y'all talk about where y'all were at the time?
Yeah, I give my, I'm also gonna have to exit out as well. I just calculated. I was just 5 years into my marriage. Okay, we got married in 1996, and so I was in E-Town in the courtroom trying to handle my business with my ex-wife and dealing with her. She gotten crazy because I got remarried and everything. So I'm trying to deal with my visitations and everything. So I was pretty serious about trying to get in there and try to get that thing under handle. And I just got called up to the judge at, I'm sitting there in front of the judge and everything, and I just sat down and everything. The judge getting ready to, talk about my case, and everything stopped. And someone came out to her, whispered in her ear, and she looked and said, "Court is on hold," and everything. She went into the back. I didn't know what going on and everything, and then they came back and said court was over. It was out and done. And then I went to the break area, and that's when I got to see the second plane hit into the tower, and I was like, "What the hell going on?" And as you know, Marcus, as I get in my car driving and everything, then I got phone calls, from the military. I was still in the reserve unit and everything. About and there was requests of us needing to come to the unit, and it was a life-changing situation for me because I had never seen something like that on our things, and that's one of the reasons I got involved with the security. I just wanted to do something, be involved in everything. Since I wasn't active duty, I was reserves, and so yeah, it left always a memorable point in my life.
And I think everybody, had that feeling. And I think there's a lot of people that didn't know how to feel as well. Right. Tiandra posted here. She says, "It was my freshman year at U of L. I was on my way back to my dorm from math class. My mom called me and told me to turn on my TV. I just remember not knowing how to feel." And I think that, there's a sect of people, and I would say that it's probably more so of the melanated community, that things like this go on. They don't know exactly how to feel, simply because there is, if you look at things through the years, there's probably more of a disdain for America than there is more of a patriot, likeness or patriotism for America. And it should be understood by the masses. It should be, people should be sympathetic to that, because again, America's done some wild things to people.
Horrific.
Horrific. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's part of the reasons why I wanted to talk about the Queen earlier. And I wanted young people to hear that we can have an intelligent conversation about the Queen without demonizing them and making it be. So it's our responsibility to be willing to see the humanity, not always seeing seeing the ugly that this country has always portrayed to us and everything. And to me, it's those type of events with 9/11. We can also go with when the space shuttle blew up. I was in Germany when that happened. Okay, and you know where you were when that happened, Joe?
I was in school, and I definitely remember being in school. I don't remember what grade I was in. It may have been elementary to middle school, probably elementary, but I do remember that whole thing.
Dave
and
Chappelle,
Dave Chappelle. You and I are thinking the same thing at the same time.
I love his accounts of it, man. I think that'd be a good one to put up because, again, that is another thing where, as mad as we may feel about America, you're mad as we can be concerned about the craziness of what America has done to us. That was a horrific thing to happen. And when you kids sit up there and I was an adult in Germany, I was coming back from the PS, and I'm listening to it, all excited, listening to it and everything, and then boom, I had to pull off to the side of the road and everything, and like, what just happened? Oh my God, and I had to search again in my humanity, compassion for what just took place, man. And so, and I truly believe that sometimes the dominant European community, when they heard, and I'm gonna go here, when they heard Michelle Obama says it's the first time she ever felt like she was proud to be an American, okay? And I remember the European folks that I was around was like, how could she say that? They was demonizing her for making such a statement. How could she dare feel that this is the first time that she was proud to be an American when she has had so much greatness in her life and experienced so many different things? They have no clue and understanding about the conversation of things or the trauma we've had to endure to overcome to be an American. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And what's interesting about how you put it is you say you had to reach for compassion.
Yes.
Almost as if to say compassion wasn't sitting right there.
Right. It wasn't right.
You ultimately had to reach for it. You had to deep down, dig deep. Why? Because that's like if you got a bully that smacks you in your face every day and then somebody kills the bully, you got to reach down into like some sort of humanity type of vault to find compassion. It ain't gonna be the I'm angry at the bully vault that you're gonna reach in to look for compassion. Because that MF got on your nerves. It's gonna be the humanity vault that you're gonna have to reach in and find some compassion. And I definitely understand that. And Dave Chappelle, he did put that shuttle thing in good perspective, and I'm gonna play that real quick.
Like when tragedy used to strike. I remember I was 12 years old, and the teacher wheeled a television set into the classroom. You know these things? And she turned it on to one of 3 channels. And she said, class, the space shuttle is taking off, and we're all gonna watch it take off. Man, that shit was going great for like 3 to 5 minutes. That's right, you remember, it fucking exploded. Right on television. Everybody on board, dead, immediately presumed dead.
Right.
It was so bad, looked at all the kids and was like, you can go home. It's a goddamn national tragedy. This was Cold War America.
So, and I think that's where, you know, being able to find some sort of comedy out of this, you know, this wasn't him laughing at the event, it was laughing at the surroundings and the effects of the event and making fun of that. Because in a lot of ways with tragedy, you have to kind of do that. And so when we look at you know, the Queen passing, you know, we look at 9/11, it's not funny that these things happen. And then, you know, you start looking at the conspiracy surrounding it. I mean, here we are 2 years later after the C-word pandemic, and we're finding out that Fauci's under investigation. We're finding out that really a lot of this conspiracy stuff was quite true. You know, you know,
he benefited from it.
Yeah, and you know, and so you can't trust the word too much of someone who is benefiting from such a tragedy, right? Because you know, at that point they're focused on pushing the tragedy
compromise, man. They only compromise what's beneficial to them at that time. Every word that come out of their mouth is now a word of how it benefits their pocket or, you know, their family and everything. And it you know, and we've always said, you know, be careful about the an individual who make decisions solely that's beneficial to them. Okay. Then they don't have your best interest in hand, you know.
And that's why absolutely. And that's why Cheney and Bush administration, even after 9/11, yes, you know, that was the day that he solidified his presidency. No more hanging Chad controversy, right? But nonetheless, there were still speculations even after the fact because of the defense contracts that was it Halliburton or whatever it was, defense contracts and all this stuff that war would benefit. And then there's, you know, the letters from Cheney
exactly right
that were broadcasted that notated that ultimately he stated something in a document talking about how war would be needed in order to get America on the same team, and, you know, all type of stuff like that. And you know, so it just, these are the reasons why things are questioned. But then there's those people that just don't want to believe. They want to believe into their government.
And let's not forget how the conspiracy about how the building came down. You know, it was a big could-do.
Well, it was even in the news reports. Even in the news reports, if I rewound that video back further, I started it at 10 minutes in. But you go look that up, you rewind that video back further. The way the guy described it, the first crash in the beginning, he describes it as, you know, you heard an explosion, and then you heard the plane, and then, you know, the way he's describing it sounds like there was an explosion versus the plane
prior to
that happened two different times, you know. And so
right
it just makes
because they talked about how when you think about how that building came down, okay, both buildings came down. There was a lot of conspiracy about, you know, how could it come down in the manner that it came down if they were hit at the top, okay? And then it was all about the fuel. They said the fuel that came down and it was. I mean, I will admit, it did seem a little suspicious, okay? You know, when you put your time and effort into listening to it, everything, how those buildings came down, you know, I mean, because they just failed. Both of them failed. Woo. I mean, like it was an effort. And could the plane, just the two planes in itself, take those buildings down that it make them fall down in the manner that it fell down? I don't know. It just, and I, you know, even to this day, I'm still like, I don't know. Okay. It does, you know, it does seems a little suspicious. Will you agree?
Exactly. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. So, as we, move on and exit our way out of the show today, then, we still want to pay homage, pay tribute to the lives that were lost, whether it was a conspiracy, whether it was really terrorist. They say one of the reasons why they pointed things towards Osama bin Laden was because he had a lot of put options on American Airlines in the stock market, and put options allow you to make money as the price goes down.
Right.
So, he had a significant amount of put options there. So, and as Joseph Reeves Sr. states, don't forget the building that didn't get hit yet fell too. So it was almost as if there was an explosion. And I think that building, that other building that he's talking about, I believe, if I remember correctly, that was a CIA building, CIA or FBI, I think it was CIA building that potentially carried a lot of documentation that
that came out later, that a lot of stuff. It's interesting you bring that up. You are absolutely right. They came out later. I think it was like a year or so later. They said that there was a lot of lost material that was found in that office and everything that they can't even recover. Okay, it's gone. Okay.
Yeah. But even outside of that,
information, everything.
They say that there was stuff that they wouldn't want the public to know about. So that's the idea of how did it not get hit by the plane? And you hear about these extra explosions, and then this building explodes, a CIA or FBI building, whatever government agency building, and next thing you know, there's stuff that we would probably want to know about that now is gone. So that was
now it's lost and gone.
Absolutely. I posted the link in the comment section there for that Loose Change documentary. If anybody ever wants to look at it, then you can. It is posted in there in the comment section. But with that in mind, man, I'm gonna exit out here with I told
before you exit out, let's just briefly talks about Flight 93. Okay, the heroicness of the citizens. And I went and read. There were multiple people from multiple states, multiple careers, age and everything that they banded together. By the time that they realized that they were in the next plane that was going to be used, weaponized to cause some harm, I cannot in good, talking about this, let us exit out without giving some homage to what it is to be an American. Okay. And what it took for them to have the courage to seize and take over that plane to prevent it from being weaponized and used in the manner. And I'm kind of glad. I'm gonna have to exit too. But I just, I couldn't leave without making some because again, my humanity. Okay. But that took some courage. I ask myself, if I was on that plane, what would I have done? Okay. You follow what I'm saying? What would have been my reaction?
Absolutely.
Knowing that, I wasn't going to live. Okay. But, I'm going to play a role in this. Okay. To make sure that, hey, we going to stop you here. I like to think that I would have had the heroicness in myself to be engaged and saying, nah, bro, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to take you out. Okay, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean it makes you think of that because I think that culturally we as a people are probably infamous shit talkers, and definitely after the fact, I wish that cop would do that to me. You know what I mean? So
right.
To think about
right.
after the fact what you would have done, nobody knows. You don't really know nothing until you sitting there in that situation. Because I would like to think the same thing, that if I were there, that I wouldn't worry about a box knife, somebody coming at me with a box knife, because those are the things that really kind of, in a sense, kind of piss me off. Because I'm in my head, I'm just thinking, a box knife, really? And okay. So what? They take they take a few hostages, but we got, however many people, 100 people on this plane. Oh no, y'all can slice their throats. I'm coming at you.
You're right. Yeah. So the first two, you
slice their throats. I'm coming at you.
You think about it, you can't blame the first two planes because they didn't know. I mean, they were just like, think about it. They didn't know what was going on. First two planes, they was kind of. We talking about the third and fourth plane. The third.
Exactly.
They like, wait a minute. Yeah. Hold up. What's going on? You know how that had to. You know how that had to emotionally. We don't talk about, but trauma comes pretty quick. Okay. The stress of that, immediately knowing and realizing that something had occurred 2 times prior, and you may be on the third or fourth plane that may be also being used. Come on, man.
Because they let the pilots know.
This is where I like what Dr. Norris says, that we are a culture of people that don't think astutely enough. Culturally, we laugh and giggle and we just that. But the word astute, what he mean about that is that sometimes we don't know how to be astute. Okay, we don't know how to figure and look at things so critically that it makes you think differently. You know what I mean? You understand? Do you know the word astute?
Yeah. No, I definitely hear you. Let's take a look at this video here about the final moments of Flight 93. It's a little bit longer, almost 5 minutes, but let's take a look at it, and we'll talk quickly about it. I got one last video to play before the show is over, and then we'll take it from there. All right.
All right.
United 93, you're here, Cleveland Center.
United 93 is one of 4,500 planes in the sky above America. It's under the control of Al-Qaeda terrorist Ziad Jarrah, and just 34 minutes from its target, the Capitol. A top-secret recording from United 93's cockpit reveals what happens in its final moments. Few people have ever heard the tape.
You could hear the sound of the wind passing over the wings. So there was a lot of background noise, but even so, it was fascinating.
You could hear the scuffling. You could hear people moving quickly. The sense was that there were several people working together. You could hear a hijacker being hit with some type of object, and you could hear the pain that he felt when he was hit. And it was a cry and a wail as if he had been fatally struck.
All of a sudden, Saeed, one of the hijackers in the front, yells, "Fight!" And his buddy said, "Yeah."
They were realizing that the passengers and crew members were coming to get them.
We started to see change in the aircraft's flight. The airplane started making some pretty extreme maneuvers. Turned to the north, it turned to the south. It did like a 270-degree turn. I didn't know what was going on there.
Cleveland enlists the help of a nearby light aircraft.
We're 56865 Cleveland Center. We have Boeing 757. Can you see him up there, sir?
We've got him.
What altitude does it appear to be he's at?
He's probably 8,000 feet.
He's behind us and only about 1,000 feet above us. I advise you stay away from that aircraft. Go north as fast as you can.
In the opening moments of the passenger fight back, the terrorists lose altitude and veer away from their target of Washington, D.C.
And then they ran up the length of a 757 with all their improvised weapons, and you could hear them coming. And we could hear it in the recording. It became louder and louder, people yelling, and I'm thinking maybe they should have just done it quietly.
There was smashing and just sounded like things were being banged around and commotion.
And then we all heard Tom's voice. All of us just jolted. He was trying to get home to us. You could hear him yelling in the cockpit, the cockpit.
They were chanting. Tom Burnett started that, in the cockpit, and they were going, in the cockpit, in the cockpit. They rattled the heck out of those guys in the front. They were terrified.
If you can, report what he's doing, sir. It looks like he's rocking his wings, according to my observer. Roger. Keeps rocking back and forth.
By shaking the aircraft back and forth, left to right, the hijackers tried to dislodge the passengers.
You could hear the passengers and crew members outside of the cockpit door
really loud, and the guys yelling together and encouraging one another.
You could also hear the hijackers inside the cockpit.
They said, is that it? Should we put her in the ground now? I said, no, wait. And then you could hear the noise blasting them. Get him!
And then Tom said, I'm injured. It was in a way that you had the sense that he was saying, don't wait for me. Keep going.
You could hear they were working together. And Dina said it was Tom that said, if we don't get in there, we'll die.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
You know, definitely riveting. You know, that's just, you know, woo.
Well, woo. Yeah. Wow. What a reflection of humanity, you know, fighting for another humanity. Okay. And that's what that was all about. That was humanity knowing that they wasn't going to survive, but they were fighting for the humanity to live on. Okay. Another humanity to live on. And that's one of the things that, you know, I'm going to leave you with this, man. My grandmother, you know, making the connection with my grandmother said it all for me when she made the statement, Joe, to me. She said, I walked with Jesus and talked with Jesus, but I had a conversation with God that confirmed Jesus was who he said he was. Man, I don't know, you know, when you hear that, Joe, you know, I don't want to put no words in it. When you hear me tell you that my grandma said, I walked with Jesus and I talked with Jesus, but I had a conversation with God that confirmed who Jesus said he was. What did that mean to you? What was my grandma saying to me, man?
Well, I mean, you know, everyone's truth is their own truth, and obviously,
right.
In her own way, she had a confirmation of, you know, who her savior was. You know, to her and to society. She got her confirmation.
Right.
She didn't need anyone else to tell her anything different because she got her confirmation.
And, you know, Leonard said the same exact thing. You said your grandma basically said she didn't need nobody else to tell her who Jesus was or who her God was. She got it for herself. And my point is this, is to hear from someone who lived the life that she lived, born in 1919. gave confirmation that one could find peace even when you done went through hell. Okay. You follow what I'm saying?
1919 to 2022. That's a lot of years, bro.
Yes. That's a lot of years, bro. And to know that I got to meet her is a blessing, and to find peace. Okay. And I just relate that to those people there in that flight, that they found peace in what they had to do for the humanity to live on. Okay, for the you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because imagine if that plane did make it to DC.
Yeah.
If it made it to its
it would
target.
have been more devastating. Yes.
In DC. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, leaving this, what is right for us, and I'm just going to tie this in what, as much as many of our demographics of people, don't feel good about America and understand what America done to us culturally. There's a reason why we are here. There's a reason why we exist today. And I truly believe it is about us not losing our humanity and knowing where it comes from. It doesn't come from America. It doesn't come from white people, okay? Our humanity comes from our Creator. And so we have to daily and constantly seek to grab our humanity, okay? And even when people do you wrong, okay, you have it within your power. The very same thing that God was saying to Cain when he knowingly knew that he was about to kill his brother. He asked him, he said to him, you don't have to do what's creeping in your heart. You don't have to. But he gave him the free will to do as he chose to. Okay. And then when he asked him, after he had done it, where is your brother? And as flipped as we are, we flip like this culturally, am I my brother's keeper? That's a flip answer, right? That was a flip, right? Yeah. Am I my brother's keeper? We sometimes got to stop being so flip and stop being so, so crazy in our behavior and our thinking, and understand that we have a responsibility with the life that we have, okay, to do right by others, even when they have done us wrong, okay? When they've done us wrong, we got to be willing to see the humanity in ourselves and the humanity in others. That's my truth, man.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm at.
And even as you're speaking about that, it made me think about Abel when he said that to his brother. Then he was finding peace. Like the passengers on Flight 93, they knew that they had to do something, and they didn't know whether they were going to die or not. They were fighting to hope not to die, to gain control and for the better, but they knew that they couldn't sit there and do nothing. And so in doing what they did, they found peace. And in Abel speaking to his brother, saying, you don't have to do what's in your heart, he was finding peace with the fact that his brother was looking to kill him. So, that's another side of that you just made me think of. I'm gonna close out here, folks. It's the Truth Be Told show. We're gonna play this, as we talk about what is right for us here in America. We know that there's some injustices and things of that nature. But as we talk about on this show and on the Tipping Point show, mostly, whatever you put into your mindset is whatever will come out. We know that there's injustice, and I'm gonna play this video to talk about those injustices, but I want you to keep in mind that it's in you create your own reality. So if you want to dwell in the ideology of racism, where focus goes, energy flows, you will always see racism everywhere you go. On your timeline, you'll be getting stopped by the police. You'll feel like the police is racially profiling you. You'll be aggressive. All of these things will come at you when you focus on it, and that's what you are always looking for. or you can switch your mindset, focus on being better at every aspect of your life. And at that point, you will get all of that you're focusing on. So you focus on being better at your craft, at your job, focus on learning more about it, focus on learning more about that part-time gig that you're thinking about doing, that business that you're thinking about starting. Focus more on that and you'll get more of that. And guess what? Racism will dissipate from your spectrum. So, just something to think about. Like I said, I'll play this Uncle Michon, and then we'll sign out.
Yes, sir. Make America greater than it's ever been.
As an arbiter of the law with whole knowledge of historical jurisprudence in this country, race must always be considered a variable.
You have precious time, Miss Keating. I suggest that you don't waste it by making arguments you've already made.
These are not my words, Justice Strickland. They're yours. You wrote them in your 1985 ruling in Bryant v. Topeka, an equal protection case dealing with a state housing lottery program. Racism is built into the DNA of America. And as long as we turn a blind eye to the pain of those suffering under its oppression, we will never escape those origins. The only safeguard people of color have is the right to a defense, and we won't even give them that. Which means that the promise of civil rights has never been fulfilled. Due to the failure of our justice system, our public defense system in particular, Jim Crow is alive and kicking. Laws that made it illegal for blacks and whites to be buried in the same cemetery. They categorize people into quadroons and octoroons. They punish a black person for seeking medical attention in a white hospital. Some may claim that slavery has ended, but tell that to the inmates who are kept in cages and told that they don't have any rights at all. People like my client Nathaniel Leahy and millions of people like him who are relegated to a subclass of human existence in our prisons. There is no alternative to justice in this case. There is no other option. To decide against my plaintiff is to choose lining the pockets of prison owners over providing basic defense for the people who live in them. And is that the America that this court really wants to live in? Where money is more important than humanity? Where criminality is confused with mental health? The Sixth Amendment was ratified in 1791. It's been 226 years since then. Let's finally guarantee its rights to all of our citizens.
Wow, we're unrising now.
Because of one unlimited.
Hey folks,
Joe,
it is the Truth Be Told show. I am Mr. Just As Joe, and right beside me, my other brother from another mother, Uncle Michon, the one and only.
Hey,
We'll see
what's
y'all
up,
next
man?
week.
What a great piece. What a great piece.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
What is right for us was a great piece. That what you just played for us, man. That's a good closeout because that's what the Truth Be Told is all about. Talking about those things as our intro always come in that America has forgotten. You know, the legislation, the things they put in place. We thought it was for our best interests, but it's still Jim Crow 2.0. Okay, we experiencing a new form of Jim Crow. Okay, so we must constantly always be diligent, huh?
The dangling carrot, you know.
Yeah.
It's always always chasing after it and realizing, now that that carrot don't mean a damn thing. We need to create our own carrots. But hey, again, like you said, that's what Truth Be Told show is all about. We'll see y'all next week. Same place, same time. We out. Peace.
We out. Peace.